everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of SDG Dialogue series. I am Ritu Ravindran, and along with me is Bhavna Srivastav, and we'll be coordinating the ninth episode of this series. The topic for today's webinar is Youth Against Gender Inequality. We all know gender equality is an important topic, as gender equality is a human right and not only a female right. Making people aware of this is very important. On behalf of Changemakers Foundation, it's my immense pleasure to welcome our guest speaker for today, Mrs. Antara Sarkar, who will be sharing her journey and thoughts on the issue. But before getting to know more about Antara ma'am, I would like to welcome our professor, Mr. Prashant Rakesh Chauhan, who has given us this opportunity to conduct the webinar. I would request you, sir, to welcome our guest for the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ritu. First of all, I would like to thank and welcome Antara Sarkar for coming on this platform. This is a Sustainable Development Goals series which we are doing it. So SDG Dialogue series, today is episode 9, and every week we are having one or two sessions, and this is the initiative for the awareness of sustainable development goals, which are UN sustainable development goals. Because we have seen that these goals are given by United Nations, but people does not have much information about it. And at various levels we have seen that it's not about education. People does not understand what these goals are and what are their importances. So this objective of this session and this series is to sensitize people, to aware people on sustainable development goals. As a social work professional, as a social work educator and practitioner, and students, those Ritu Ravindran and Bhavna Srivastav, both are MSW students. So this is the initiative of students under the individual social responsibility and community engagement, that they have picked up goals and they are working on the awareness of goals at various levels. Because of coronavirus and COVID situation, we are having these online webinars, and this is a hybrid model, you can say. We are doing online also, and we are working offline also. So, and the purpose is only to connect, to reach various people at different levels. So those who are joining us today, uh, please participate in a bigger way. Ask questions, write in comment section your views, and we are looking forward uh, that people, those who are interested for the development of the society, please join hands with us, because we are looking out uh, volunteers, individuals, those who wants to be the friend of the society, those who wants to work for the society. And we all know that there are 17 goals. So 17 goals are somehow covering all the aspects of development. So India must be in the front runner of the uh, SDG achievements, and this is a 2021 we are in, and these are the goals which should be achieved by, must be achieved by 2030. So you can say that this is a decade of delivery. We are in the first, that at the end of this 10 years in this decade. So we all must join hand together, so that we can work out that how these goals can be achieved. Today's topic is very important, that what is the role of youth for gender inequality. And gender equality is also one of the goal number 5, because we are in the Women's Day, International Women's Day week also is nearby on Monday. We are in that. So I think in that perspective, this topic is also very important, because somehow youths are main source who can work seriously on achievements of these goals and work on the gender equality aspect. So looking forward for a great, wonderful conversation today. And I would like to congratulate Ritu and Bhavna for having this very important session, planning this session, executing this session. And I believe that social work students are learning how to engage, how to organize, and how to work by organizing all these sessions. So this is something that's practical. Practically, they are also being trained. So wonderful opportunity for everyone, and we are also getting a lot of you know people, and they are listening their stories, that how they are working, how much efforts they are putting in for the development of the society. So this is very nice. So this is live on Social Work Times on YouTube and various other Facebook and Twitter also. So three platforms we are live. So I'm expecting that. Uh, this message which we want to give for the awareness of the sustainable development goals, especially for the gender inclusive society, gender equal society, where everyone is happy, everyone has say, and everyone is representing either a caste, creed, gender. So this is the objective of this. So being thank you so much, and this is the idea that we must work together. So, and I'm taking this further that a lot of people are joining us, and yeah, we are working on the awareness of this. So thank you so much, and over to Ritu.
SDG goal number 5: achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to ensure that there is an end to discrimination against women and girls everywhere. Ending all forms of discrimination against women and girls is not only a basic human right, but is also has a multiplier effect across all the development areas. There are still gross inequalities in access to paid employment in some regions and some significant gaps between men and women in the labor market. Sexual violence and exploitation, the unequal division of unpaid care and domestic work, and discrimination in public decision making all remain huge barriers. Gender inequality is obviously an urgent problem in the world. Despite the fact that its volume much decreases, it still exists and make a lot of people suffer its consequences every day. And there are many reasons leading to this gender discrimination, which cannot be solved easily. However, with education and progressive thoughts of people, there are also reasons to trust in the future of gender inequality being stopped. Then hopefully people can live in the fairness no matter what gender they are. So I request now that Bhavna could introduce our guest speaker, Mrs. Antara Sarkar, to the viewers. Over to you, Bhavna.
Thank you so much, Ritu, and thank you so much, sir. So, our guest speaker is Mrs. Andra Sarkar. We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so
So,
much for having me.
Mrs. Andra Sarkar is a social worker and a creator of Sunday Class, which is a free, educational, informal weekend school for underprivileged children. She is graduate from BEATS Pilani, following which she worked in JP Morgan Chase, Mumbai. Antra is the Mrs. Antra is the co-founder of the Pink Engine, a company that makes 3D printed Indian Railway scale models. In 2016, she started volunteering in Greater Noida at a government primary school for underprivileged children. In April of 2018, Antra started Sunday Class. Along with the maths and English, Sunday classes curriculum includes coding, robotics, movie making, kickboxing, fashion designing, etc. Different sessions like child sexual abuse, LGBTQ rights, how to handle crushes as teenager, etc. are also conducted for the overall development of the children. During the pandemic, Andhra and her husband, Dr. Anurup Mitra, started Sunday Class online, where they taught via YouTube. To support the kids and their families at a difficult time like this, different food distribution drives have also been conducted. So, her goal is to make learning hands on, innovative, fun, and useful for the kids in the real world. So, I request ma'am to please share your journey with us. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bhavna. And that's a very long introduction. But thank you so much for it, and thank you everybody for having me here, and especially on a topic this important. I think there'll be very few, if any, woman or girl at all who has not faced some form of gender discrimination in the entire world, not just in our country. And so this is a very important goal of the United Nations. And so today I'm here to, share my journey in the last 5 years. So of course, like I said, we have, for most of us, have faced gender discrimination right from childhood. But I will be focusing on the last 5 years of my life, where I've been volunteering in Greater Noida. And what I have experienced and what I have seen the women and girls in the community that I work with, what they experience on an everyday basis. So it was in 2016 where I first went to volunteer at a government school. It's still class 5. And within 2-3 months of volunteering there, I realized that after class 5, most of the kids drop out of the schools. And the girls are basically, forced to stay at home by their families, and they have to nanny the younger siblings. So they have to take care of, cooking, cleaning, taking care of all the kids in the house while their parents are out working. So basically what we do as adults, they do when they start doing that from the age of 10. So girls were doing that, and even boys dropped out, and they were forced again by their families to, work as labor, sell eggs on the road and things like that. So these were, to me, were very shocking. And especially because we are located about 40 kilometers away from the capital city of the country. And yet after class 5, most kids were dropping out. And like I said, girls were just, given full-on adult responsibilities. So, in order to kind of find solutions to this, so I wanted to change that. I wanted to, make sure that the kids get educated. I started going around and meeting the families. So I started going to their homes. And I think that is when the realization hit me that there is barely any woman, any girl who does not face gender discrimination. The mothers of my, kids, they work from 5 in the morning till 8, 9 at night. They're the only working members because their husbands are drunk and lying on the road all day. And these women would come home, and their drunken, unemployed husbands would be beating them up or raping them at night. So this was the norm, and this is the environment in which my kids were growing up in. And by my kids, I mean the ones I volunteer with, the ones I used to teach in the school. And so this came as a shock, and I knew that, we had to find solutions for the next generation. This cannot go on forever. This has to stop. So I started going to their homes, morning, night, anytime I could, to meet the families, especially the mothers, and to tell them, explain to them long-term benefits of getting their daughter educated. So, it's like, I realized that till then, nobody had even thought about long-term. So it was immediate that, immediately, bachchi ko ghar pe rehna hai so that she can nanny the other kids. It's immediate that she has to be the one making samosas and chaats at home, a 10, 12-year-old, so that the father and brothers can go and sell it. So they were constantly thinking about the immediate income that would a child could generate, instead of thinking of the long-term benefits of maybe getting that child educated. So here I was, talking to the mothers and sisters, some fathers as well, and, showing them that the benefits, you have been doing, say, labor work or being a household help in somebody's house. And there is nothing wrong with hard work. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But in India, such work gets you peanuts. And that concept that, if you educate your child, that she's going to have a better life, is a conversation I had to have over and over again with the families. But I actually, eventually managed to convince all of them, and all the girls and boys both got back into school. So all the dropouts came back into schools. And this happened through conversations, and like I said, finding alternative solutions to the problems. So I continued kind of, teaching and volunteering at that government school. And that is when the idea of something like Sunday class, this, informal weekend school, kind of popped up in my head. And I wanted to kind of, the school was till class 5, and I wanted that in to kind of continue teaching the kids long term. If you want to make a long term effect, you teach a bunch of kids for 1 year, it is not really going to make a difference in their lives. So if you want to make a difference, it has to be long term. And that is what I wanted, because after class 5, they would all go to different schools, right? And so I wouldn't be able to meet them. And that's when the idea of Sunday class kind of popped up in my head. And at that school, there were a group of other volunteers who would also come. And I thought that, I should speak to them and see if they could kind of help out with Sunday class, what they thought, what was their opinion, if I could start something like this. And so I went to them, and they were a group of about 6-7 people, except one. All of them were men, and one lady, she was about 70 years old. All of them highly educated, have high positions in big companies and all of that. But when I told them that I want to start something like Sunday class, I was told on my face that this is a terrible idea. And I was like, why? Why do you think it's terrible? They said, you're a woman. How will you do this? And I was like, why not? So, I mean, that's how openly sexist the conversation was, that I was told on my face that because of my gender, that something like this was not possible. And all of them were older than me. And I was around, in my late 20s or maybe just 30 years old. And they said, you're too young to do this. So my gender and my age were used against me, which previously they had said were my assets, because they said, you're young, so the kids, bond well with you. You have so much energy, and you're a woman, so it's easier for you to kind of, go into the community and, talk to the mothers, talk to the children. So these were my positives previously. And suddenly my gender and my age were used negatively. And they said that, no, this is just not possible. We don't think you will be able to, do all this planning and coordination. You're being too emotional. Things that, women are told usually that, you just can't do it. It's not possible. And I remember walking out of that room actually feeling emotional, that, what just happened? Like, there's, that the patriarchy really hit me that day. And this is just 4 years back. I'm not talking about something that happened 40 years back. So this is, educated, modern, so-called modern people. And so we had that conversation. I came home. My husband was there. And I said, this is what happened. I can't believe this is happening in 2018 and 16, 17, 18. Yeah. So the only thing that we were confident about was that the kids that I teach, they would come. Like, I just needed to make one phone call and I knew the kids would turn up because they loved me. And that's what we decided. So my husband and I said, let's do this. We don't need anybody else. We'll do it. And that's how in April 2018, Sunday class was born. For me, it was very important that I teach both girls and boys. I do not believe in the concept of, only focusing on one gender, usually girls, because in the real world, girls have to interact with boys, boys have to interact with girls. So for the overall growth of a person, I feel it is important that the learning environment is also somewhat realistic to what the real world is like. And it is also important because the boys, even though they were just 12, 13 years old, the boys in that community would not be going to school. They would be gambling. They would be loitering around all day in the parks. And so we didn't, I don't want to create a group of girls who are educated and confident and a group of boys who are left behind and who have no idea how to handle educated women. So, 10 years later, 15 years later, these boys are going to, mistreat educated women because they have no idea how to handle it. And I did not want that. So for me, it was important that both girls and boys are educated in Sunday class, that they both have the opportunity to do it. So anyway, so Sunday class was started, and then came certain challenges like, So the mindset. So for girls, we started off with having self-defense classes for both girls and boys. And how conditioned we are as girls to always put other people's comfort, other people before us, that our comfort, our security comes later. And that's what happened here, is when in kickboxing we were saying, you have to punch the instructor. There was a girl who kept practicing. She's punching and she would say, "I'm sorry sir, I'm sorry sir," and she would keep doing that. And we had to tell her, sorry, just give me a moment. And we had to tell her, break that mindset, that this is for your own protection, that you are not supposed to be sorry for hitting somebody else if that person is harming you. And this concept of only boys can be physical, only boys can protect us and we can't do it. So that mindset had to be broken. I would be organizing cricket tournaments and telling the girls that you have to come and play. And these were things that were happening for the first time for them, that they were performing, they were dancing in school performances, they were playing cricket on the field, and with boys and girls all together. These were all things that was happening for the first time for them in their lives, and this in turn was building confidence in them. Then in class we have a lot of STEM projects. We do engineering projects. We'll give them paper microscopes. We will tell them to build robots, do coding. Again, for the girls, the fact that they can be engineers, they can be scientists, and not just doing traditional roles, that they can do these new things, was something absolutely unknown to them. So this was good exposure. At the same time, we were doing creative stuff, like we were doing fashion designing, that you have to paint t-shirts and you have to do paintings. And we made sure that the boys were doing it too, because no activity, no job should be determined by the gender of a person. So we have this stereotype that boys shouldn't be cooking or boys shouldn't be painting. And I want to make sure that I break that. So in Sunday class, if we are doing engineering projects, everybody is doing it. If we are doing creative artsy projects, everybody is doing it. Doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy. And what happened eventually, for the overall development of the kids, we started focusing on other aspects of growth, like child sexual abuse. Again, this is a topic which was never discussed in their homes, especially for the girls. And they were afraid to ever speak out about it. So we had conversations, we had a session on this in class. And eventually, what happened was, sorry about that. So I have a cold. And eventually what happened was that when something like 2-3 of our girls actually faced problems like this, they were too afraid to actually tell their parents about it. So the first phone call came to me saying, Didi, this is what happened, this is what this boy did, or this is the kind of messages I received. And what do I do? The fact that now that they actually had a person that they could reach out to, I think that gave them a lot of confidence. And then I had to kind of guide them, along with my husband Onurup, that you have to talk to your parents about it, you have to tell them about it, and see what their reactions are. If they refuse to help you, if they do not, they start blaming you for assault that has happened to you and abuse that has happened to you, then we are going to be there. Don't worry, we will just be there. But start at home, go and have that conversation. And they did. And surprisingly, their parents supported them. So it's not impossible. It's just that there has been so much shame and fear that society has built, on topics like this, that we make our children afraid without maybe even meaning to do it. So once we had that conversation, our kids, we're just making the world safer, right? Like if a child is being abused and she comes and tells you about it, you can put a stop to it. But if she's afraid to even say it, that abuse is just going to continue. So this was important. I think a big change which happened in our Sunday class batch. Along with that, we also have open conversations about the LGBTQ community, because I feel along with gender, sexual orientation is also important. That you can be gay and that is absolutely fine. We love you no matter what your sexual orientation is. So these kind of conversations, and using words like, ye wo gay hai or wo hijra hai, were always used negatively. To remove that negative connotation was also very important for me. So when I'm saying that he's gay, I mean it as a fact. I don't mean that I don't mean that as an insult. And it was very important that this came out clearly to our children. So again, these were we had open conversations about topics like this. So overall, what has happened, I feel, in the last 3-4 years that I've been with this group of children, is they have clearly seen that we do not differentiate between girls and boys, that girls and boys do everything is the thing, that there is no specific gender roles that are assigned at all in Sunday class. And another interesting part is that they, for the initial 1 or 2 years, they were confused if Onurup and I are husband and wife, because they'd never seen a couple which is equal. Because in their environment, the community they're growing up in, the father is superior and the mother is always going to be 2 steps lower than the father. That was the group, that was the the environment that they are in. So for them, this was kind of confusing initially, that how come these two people are like friends, they are not like husband and wife, because we are not what they have traditionally seen. So that was interesting for us, actually. So we were kind of like, why can't you believe we are married? So those kind of things happened. And eventually, I think, like I said, the children have now a voice, they speak out. And small changes have also happened in their homes, where I teach 2 sisters, and they had told me that they do all the housework and that the brother does nothing. And I was like, why not? He has to find some role, something that he has to do in the house. And then what happened was, these girls went and told their parents that our brother has to do something, we are doing all the work in the house, so why doesn't he do it? And so now the brother is responsible for the girls don't have running water at home, so they have to go and get it from a tanker. So the brother is now responsible for doing that job, that he has to go get the water every day, that he has to arrange the footwear in the house. This was something which was not happening in their homes even a year or 2 years back, till Sunday class started happening, and we were telling the girls, no, boys and girls have to take equal household responsibilities. Then things like this also. Now, it's not always that girls are discriminated against, boys also face problems. One mother of a girl, a daughter, she came up and said, one of the boys in Sunday class, this girl is also in Sunday class, my daughter was coming home, and he said hi to her, he spoke to her on the road. And I said, yes, so what is the problem? He can talk to her in Sunday class, but he cannot talk to her on the road. I was like, what? So I was like, but they've known each other for years. They were in school together. They've been in Sunday class together. So I said, did he do anything wrong? Did he say anything which made your daughter feel unsafe? No. So I asked the daughter, I asked the girl who I've known for very long. I said, does he make you feel unsafe? Has he said anything? Has he done anything? Do you want me to, remove him from Sunday class? And she was like, no, everything is absolutely fine. I was going home on my cycle. He saw me, he stopped and he said hi. So, but the mother, just the fact that a boy had said hi to her daughter had completely, what should I say, made a very wrong assumption about the boy. So gender inequality can be for, both. It affects both. It's not just women. Majority of the time it is women. But it can also have very negative impact on men as well and boys as well. And so we are trying to do that. We're trying to, fight these mindsets, bring about, a change in whatever way we can. The pandemic, of course, has kind of, wouldn't say stop, but it has kind of slowed down the process. I will not lie. So, having schools closed for them because they don't have online schooling and all the, fancy things that our kids grow up with. So that's when we started Sunday class online on YouTube. So we were making videos, my husband and I, and we were putting it up every Sunday. So even here, I would like to add that, I made these videos, and and I'll be honest, I am pretty happy with the videos that I made. And there were so many people who assumed that all those videos had been made by my husband. And so the first 3-4 times I didn't think too much about it, like, Anurup ne kiya, Anurup ne kiya. I was like, no, I did it, no, maine edit kiya, nahi, from start to end I did it. Then one day a friend of mine called, and she said her 10-year-old daughter was looking at my Instagram and had commented that, I really like the posts that Antara puts up, her editing is really nice, or something on those lines. And my friend had told her daughter that, I guess, Anurup karta hoga. And to me, that was shocking, that I don't want any girl to grow up thinking that a woman is not capable of doing something. And it could be a simple Instagram post, it could be a fancy video on YouTube, or it could be anything. The fact that just because a woman has it's on a woman's page, so automatically it must be, just because it has technical stuff in it, just because it requires some form of editing, coding, whatever, automatically it is a boy, a man who has been doing who is doing it, and it is not possible for a woman to do it. That is not okay with me. So I told that friend, and I was like, no, I'm the one who does it. And I ended up putting up a post on social media actually talking about this, because I don't want any 10-year-old girl or 5-year-old girl or 15-year-old girl thinking that, oh, it must be a man who has done it if this is done well. Anything which is done well, oh, it must be a man who has done it. I don't want any girl to think that. So these are little things, but I'm sure, a lot of you watching here today would have faced these things, in your own way, little things. But yeah, so these are the challenges that I have seen in the kids, I have faced myself. And currently the struggle after the pandemic, now, not after, it's still going on, is to kind of go back and get the kids back into school. Because now for 1 year, they're again, being forced to go into labor work, they're being forced to nanny their siblings. So what we started 5 years back, those situations are coming back again. And the struggle is going to start again. But I hope and I feel that this time it will be easier for me to get our children back into school. And hopefully, a couple of years down the line, these children are going to be more confident, will be better human beings, and will treat others like they would like to be treated themselves. So it doesn't matter what your gender is, what your sexual orientation is, what religion or caste you come from, but you will treat another human being like you wish to be treated, with love and with respect. And that is my hope for my kids in the long term. So yeah, so that's it. And I have a little video and that I would like to share. And after that, if you have any questions, anybody, please go ahead and ask. And if you have anything now you want to ask, please, Bhavna, Ritu. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and play the video.
No, ma'am, you can show your video.
Okay. Can you guys see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
size of the one apple. And what happens when it comes down? It starts raining.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your experiences and challenges and your views on gender equality and its importance and how we can tackle this problem to bring about change. The video part was very nice. We can see the children were enjoying. It was great. So, ma'am, I just want to ask a question. What will be your advice for youth?
Uh, well, to be honest, this is my advice would be for everybody, and especially the youth, would be to first start by recognizing the inequalities you see around you. So, in yourself, in your home, in your institutions, in your organizations. So, it could be something very small, like in your house. When everybody sits down to eat, does your mother eat with you, or is she waiting till the end, after everybody's done with her meal, and then she sits down to eat with all of you? So these are little things. Or in the neighborhood, I've seen this where a girl child is born, first child in the family, and the parents are actually upset, and these are educated, I mean, these are these are professors that I'm talking about, who are upset. Be the person who turns up with chocolates and balloons and says, yay, a baby has been born. It doesn't matter what the gender is. It's a healthy baby. That is what matters. So be that person. So it's those little things that you can do in your everyday life. Be the person as a man, be the person who doesn't take dowry. As a woman, be the woman who refuses to pay dowry. You are worth more than that. You are not worth, getting whatever, giving jewelry and cars, and you are good in yourself. You are enough. So stand up for those little things that you can in your in your homes and in your environments. Beyond that, if you want to help out in the community, education, of course, it would always start, I would suggest, with educating children. The younger you start, the better it is. And it could be an hour a month. Okay, if you can give your time, even if it's just 1 hour in a month, make sure that you are there in that commitment, that I will give only an hour a month, but I will be there for that 1 hour. You cannot say at that time, oh, mujhe to Goa trip pe jana hai, and oh, mere dost ka birthday party hai. So be the person who is committed, even if it is just for an hour, because you don't know that 1 hour, those people that you are teaching, they will be waiting for you. They will, I mean, I know I had once missed a class and I went back a week later. I had gone to visit my parents. I wasn't partying. But I came back and, that whole school was like, where were you? So that feeling that, that yes, you are making a difference can only happen when you do it in a committed way and you do it long term. So that would be my advice. One is to start with yourself, to start with the immediate changes that you can bring in the environment, in the immediate family or in your immediate friend circle and organization. And if you go out in the community, make a commitment and stick to it, and do it, do it for a while. Don't do it for a month or two, do it for a year, do it for 2 years, and you will definitely see a change, and it will give you a kind of joy which is unparalleled. I can promise you that.
It
So
was
that's
great
it.
listening to you, ma'am. We have learned a lot from you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. So before
Yeah,
concluding that, as we know 8th of March we are celebrating International Women's Day. So I would like to wish every woman a very happy Women's Day from Changemakers Foundation. Now I request Ritu to take over.
yeah. I just want to ask one question. One thing from Antara, that when you started this, your volunteerism work, So, what are the challenges you faced actually? If can you relate it anything where you feel that being a girl or being a woman, uh, there was some challenge you faced, or it was normal and people were very accepting, or in the community where you are working?
For the community as such, in the sense that it, in a way, my gender initially helped me bond with the mothers and sisters. But of course, the aspect of safety, like I would go at 8 in the morning to the homes of the children to kind of convince the dropout kids to come back, and their fathers would be drunk at 8 in the morning. So definitely handling that, being in situations where you do feel unsafe, you do feel uncomfortable, uh, has happened. And but I look back and I sometimes wonder how I did it. I won't lie. But at that point in time, I think for me, the priority were the children, and I was willing to take the risk too. Of course, I wouldn't advise taking very high risks or something at all, but a reasonable amount of risk where I was doing this during the day. I was trying to do it with maybe have at least one more person with me, making sure I'm going when the children would be home, because I know the children would be my shield. So those were little steps that definitely I had taken, and there were risk factors associated there. But acceptance, I think, was better because I was a woman, because it made me made it easier for me to connect with the mothers. But like I said, starting Sunday class, I mean, I've already covered that in the session. That was very hard, where there was like open sexism and open patriarchy, saying that you can't do it because you're a woman. That definitely happened, but I did it, and I'm a woman. So yeah.
Great. So, and in that, have you ever noticed any, abuse or any case which any student shared with you during the family, or apart from in a school, or any violence incidents in your notice while interacting with them?
Do you mean specifically for the children, or like in
Children.
their homes?
Okay, in their homes, maybe in the kids which you were teaching actually.
Yes. So initially, when I had began volunteering at the government school, there were two brothers who came and said that they've not been able to sleep at night. कि रात को ना दीदी 2 बजे नींद खुल जाती है, 4 बजे तक 6 बजे तक बैठे रहते हैं. And because they were brothers who were telling me the story, I kind of assumed maybe it's a medical condition. So I came and told my husband that maybe we should take them to the doctor, that both of them are having this problem. And he said, is there a possibility of some kind of abuse or something which is going on in their homes? So I went to their home, and their mother told me that yes, every night she works from morning to evening, and she would come home and her husband would be beating her up at night. And that is why basically the children couldn't sleep, because the mother was being beaten up. As for direct abuse for the children, recently, I think this was, yeah, we've had sessions on child sexual abuse, and we had one specifically for online abuse, since everything has become online over the last 1 year. And within a week of that session, one of my girls called me up and said that she's getting abusive messages on her phone from an unknown number. And she was afraid to tell her parents. The first thing she did was call me up and said, this is what has happened, what do I do? So we kind of did our research. We found out who is the boy who is doing it. And finally, I told her that you need to first tell your parents. If they do nothing about it, that is when Onurup and I will turn up. So let's see how that goes. So finally, she managed to speak to her mother, and her father did go and speak to the boy, and it got sorted out. But yeah, the fact that she would have probably not told anybody if we have not had these sessions in Sunday class where we said that abuse is not your fault. So if there should be no shame or fear associated with it. Another case also happened with another girl. She, some boys in her neighborhood had said something, and she called me up again. Before telling her parents, she called me up and said, these boys did this, blah blah blah. What do I do? Do I tell my parents? And we said, yes, of course you tell your parents. And again, those things got sorted out. So yes, so there've definitely been problems, and the good part is that our kids are, confident enough to give me, a call and tell me that this is happening, which I don't think would have been possible a couple of years back.
So
So
all
yeah.
the children you are teaching in Sunday class, they all are enrolled in school, or they are out of school?
No, so the Sunday class rule that I made when I started was that all of you have to be registered in schools. I will not teach you if you are dropouts. And because Sunday class for them is such a, a highlight of their lives, because we do so many new things that, they have never done before. This is something they're not willing to give up. So all the kids have been in school. Of course, in the last 1 year, of course, because of the pandemic, the situation is terrible, to be honest, because their schools have closed down. They've had no schooling for the last year. There are no online schools at all for them. So we've been teaching them online and all of that. But other than that, they have had no schooling in the last 1 year. But yes, otherwise, all of them are in school. None of them are dropouts.
Very good, very good. Any human trafficking case you have noticed? I'm just asking. Any
No,
traffic?
thankfully not. I haven't. Yes,
You
thankfully not.
know, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. I think very motivating, and I think like you people should come. It's not about that you start only an NGO, then you work. It's about volunteerism. If you want to help people, if you have something for the society, then I think you must come and whatever a little bit you can do.
Absolutely.
So that you must. I just want to ask you lastly that you said
Mhm.
that you started a YouTube channel, and for that, so how
Yes.
students were using it? So do they have the mobile phones and all to access
No,
that?
so the kids themselves don't have phones. So what I would do is every Sunday I would put up a video on YouTube, a Sunday class online video, and
Hmm.
then I would kind of WhatsApp it to whatever number the kids gave me. So sometimes it was their neighbor, sometimes it was their brother, some relatives. So those were the numbers I would kind of message that link to and the homework. So whenever the kids got a chance in the next 7 days to get hold of a phone, essentially, they would do it. So it's not like they had easy access to phones or that immediate parents had phones or something, but they kind of had to manage from the neighborhood, from the relatives, and that's how they did it.
And what is the gender balance in your class? Like the girls are more or
I
boys
would say
are
I
more?
think about more girls than boys. About I think 60-70% would be girls.
And reason for that? Why boys are less?
To be honest, when I started Sunday class, like I said, I wanted both boys and girls. And because I started from the school, the Sarkari school that I was volunteering in, the ratio was already kind of skewed there. So whatever,
Acha.
students I got from there, then the house where I volunteer, sorry, the house where I run Sunday class. So they had, their driver's daughter, their household help's daughters. So more girls were sent in, and I was okay with that. But like I said, I wanted to make sure that boys and girls were doing it. So the ratio was not, it's not 50-50, but we want boys and girls both, because that's what the real world is like, and I want my kids to be confident interacting with different genders when they're grown up, when they go into the real world.
Okay, nice. It means that gender discrimination was not there, that parents are not sending girls, so everyone is coming to your
Initially,
classes.
there was definitely. So it was a fight. I'll be honest. The first 1.5 years, I was like constantly, fighting with the families, because they were again, my girls were kept at home so they could nanny their younger siblings, because all of them have like 5 siblings. So so that was a big problem. But I think the main point here, maybe I don't know if I missed it initially, was for the first time for the kids, there was a person who was willing to speak up for them, which gave the kids their own voice. So here it was not just when their mother said you can't go to school initial. So before that it was like, okay, ghar baith gaye. But now it was like, Antara didi se baat karo, कि स्कूल नहीं जा सकती, and they would ring me up and say मम्मी से बात कर लो, she's not letting me go. So now Antara didi, you handle this. So I would be talking to the mothers, Onurup would be talking, and kind of convincing the mothers and fathers that your daughter has to come to class, she has to go to school. So the first 1.5 years were not easy. So but after that, I think the parents can see the change in the children, and they want their kids to now go to class and go to school. So that change has also happened in the last couple of years.
Chalo, very nice, and I think thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me, especially
yeah,
on a topic this important.
yeah. Ritu.
So thank you, everyone. This is the time for vote of thanks. Before, I would like to, on the behalf of Changemakers Foundation, I would like to wish each one of you happy International Women's Day. As we know, on 8th of March, we all are celebrating International Women's Day, which is one of the most important days of the year, like to celebrate women's achievement, raise awareness about women's equality, lobby for accelerated gender parity, fundraise for female focused charities. So, yeah, on behalf of Changemakers Foundation, I wish each and everyone a happy International Women's Day. So, I deem it a great honor on behalf of Changemakers Foundation to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this webinar such a resounding success. First of all, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our guest speaker, Antara ma'am, for gracing today's session. Thank you for the interesting, meaningful, and thought provoking address. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our professor, Mr. Prashant Rakesh Chauhan, for his presence, moral support, and guidance, and for giving us the opportunity to organize our very first webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank each one of the participants who have been there throughout this session. Once again, I thank you all for your cordial cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you so much and happy Women's Day in
Yes,
advance.
happy Women's Day to everybody, and thank you so much for having me. And Bhavna and Ritu, you guys did a great job. So well done. Keep it up.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am.